Yep. Welcome to the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission for May 12th, 3 p.m. Get the clerk to play the tape. I was just going to say, should I read it?
Today's meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Commission, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form a part of the public record. The Chair, CAO, or Secretary have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of the debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in unacceptable behavior or comments.
Thank you, clerk. Go to the adoption of the agenda and or agenda additions. Recommendations of the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission agenda dated May 12th, 2025 be adopted as presented. On the floor for me, the Deputy Mayor, second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? That's passed. We'll be going into closed session. The recommendations that we now go in our closed session at what time is it? 3:02. 3:02 to discuss a solicitor client matter in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act. All in favor? It's passed. So we're going in closed
A
session.
mover and seconder, please.
Sorry.
Someone to move and second the motion?
Yeah, I did. Okay, I didn't move. Sorry, the mayor and second by Commissioner Mason. Probably did, actually. All in favor? That's passed. Okay, so we're going into closed session. I asked that question already. Not today, but a long time ago.
My apologies. Could I be re-invited to the breakout room, please? Hello?
Okay, so we're out of closed session. We'll move right to 4.1, the adoption of the minutes. Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission, April 2025 minutes. Recommendation, Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission minutes dated April 17, be adopted as presented on the floor. Commissioner Mason, second by the mayor. Any discussion on that? No. Disclosure of any pecuniary interests? Don't see any.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We just need to, go back.
Oh, sorry, I didn't do a motion coming out of closed session.
Thank you.
A motion coming out of closed session. Commissioner Shoesmith, second by the deputy mayor. All in favor? Pass.
And
Did you need us to read those in the closed minutes? as
And
well?
then we also, yes,
Yeah,
please.
Oh, I have to read it all. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm new at this sort of stuff. Where am I here? Gotta go back to this page. Closed session. Recommendation that we discuss solicitor client matter under section 239, bracket 2, bracket F. Put it on the floor. The deputy mayor, second by Commissioner Shoesmith. All in favor? It's passed. What else we got here? Closed session minutes dating April 17. Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission's recommendations of closed session for Lagoon City Parks and Waterways minutes dated April 17, 25, be adopted as presented. From the floor, Commissioner Mason, second by the mayor. All in favor? It's passed. Okay, I already did that one. Okay, carrying interest, nobody had it. Open forum regarding agenda items only. Do we have anybody? No? Okay, presentation receiving of petitions and deputations. We don't have any. Count budgets, account vouchers dated April 2025. Recommendation that the accounts vouchers dated 2025 be received as information. So we put on the floor, Deputy Mayor, second by the Commissioner Mason. Discussions on that? The only thing I had, we're seeing this information, just hold on here. Oh, so the report on the pump. I guess we're going to get an update on that later, Chris, when we come down
Yeah,
here.
we'll address that when we get to the.
Okay, we'll address
to the
that one.
report.
Okay, we'll address that. And okay, that's it then. All in favor? It's passed. Budget to actual report. Recommendation that the budget to actual report dated 2025 be received as information. Put on the floor for me, Commissioner Shoesmith, second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion on that? The only thing I had with that was the treasurer here? No, okay. I can wait. It's not important. I'll wait till next meeting when she's there. Okay, all in favor?
Why not highlight it now and then we can get the.
It's an easy question.
Oh, okay.
I'm basically asking her if there's anything there I should be aware of. Yeah. I ask it all the time when she's here. Yeah. All in favor? That's passed. Items of information, ice storm damage cleanup dated is May 2025. Recommendation report LC 1520 received as information. Put it on the floor. The deputy mayor, second by the mayor. Any discussion? Just hold on a second because you guys are going too fast for me. I have to look. Okay. All in favor? That's passed. The unfinished or new business, 10.1, the aeration system expansion recommendation that report LC-1025 received and that we entered into contract with Lagoon the amount of $81,300 for the 2025 aeration expansion. Somebody go on the floor for me. Looking over it, Commissioner Shoesmith, second by Commissioner Mason. Discussion?
I didn't think we had that much in the budget this year to use. Is that the amount I guess we don't have the treasurer, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, we had budgeted in 100,000 for this expansion, so it's plenty of money there for this.
I have some discussion with that. Mayor?
Did you need new pump house for this one as well?
No,
Was it teeing into the existing?
Well, I think Chris can explain it, but
Yeah,
it is
so-
keying out.
so
This
we
is the
brought-
problem I have, what we're going to probably talk about. in a
So
few
we
minutes.
brought the report back to this meeting because there was some discussion about questions and stuff. And we brought Weeds Be Gone in today to Nick from Weeds Be Gone to hopefully answer and clarify any questions that come out of this report that was quoted and sent out in tender form. I think at this point, Cal, there's quite a few questions maybe that you've got for Nick in this regard. To answer your question, Mr. Mayor, no, the proposal is that the existing pump house that's already there has a second compressor installed in it on this proposal.
So do we have the map, Chris, that can go up with what we're talking about? Because I can do it off the top of my head, but a lot of people won't understand what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Business been good? Busy. We're almost done. Exactly. Because I'm going to be talking about pump houses all over the place when I'm talking to them about it. Yeah, you know what? Well, Amber's here. Okay, yeah, we'll go to the next one then. We'll come back to that. Can I just leave it hanging like that? Okay, so let's go to, what's the next one? 10.2, the report LC janitorial service extension, recommendation that we extend the janitorial service contract with Sherry Gas cleaning service, the amount of $70, including HST per day for the year 2025, and that staff be directed to complete. Request for quotation for a 3-year term for the janitorial service from 2026 to 28, following the adoption of the LCBW annual budget 2026. On the floor, the deputy mayor, second by the mayor. Any discussion with that? I think she does a good job. I don't have an issue with that. All in favor? That's passed. Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission tender award. Recommendation that report LC 1325 be received and Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission enter into a contract with Extreme Security Incorporated for private beach security under request for quotation file number LC 0625, and that the successful bidder being notified of Lagoon City Parks and Waterways approval. But on the floor, the mayor, second by the Commissioner Mason. Any discussion on that?
Worked with this company before, no issues?
No, I think he does a great job. I don't have an issue. I was looking to see why the budget was 25,000 and the cost was only 6,900. Why we had upward fees this time. It seemed like, and I went back the last 2 years. Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.
So this is a new company. This is not a returning company from previous years.
Oh,
It's called Extreme Security. So they were the lowest bidder on the tender. There was $25,000 budgeted for this line item, but it's come in obviously significantly lower for those services. They've met all the requirements asked for within the tender and what the commission is looking for in terms of security at the beach locations.
so the person that did it before, what was their quote? I'm just curious.
They did not quote.
They did not quote. Okay. Right. But so this would be somebody who's going to walk them through. You're going to.
That would be a coordination between myself and the deputy clerk who manages that contract. Certainly, I'll be able to provide them with all the information from a bylaw perspective, and then the contract requirements would come through the clerk's department.
Yeah, because you have to meet up with all the hotels out there anymore, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Mayor,
So you budgeted 25. What was spent last year? Do we know?
less than that.
Through your chair, the budget for last year was 19,000. I don't remember exactly how much was spent.
I think this was in around the price when I looked at it. Yeah, it's in around 7,000.
Okay, so it is right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right in. It's in the number.
Well, when I see a variance that big, I start to get concerned. But no, if that's what you spent around 7,000 last year, then this is in line.
Yeah, because I checked to see, and it was about the same price, and I was good to see how far I'm. Okay, all in favor? That's passed. Okay, now we go back to the last thing. That other fellow did it for a long time. Okay, I can talk generally about it then, right? So one of the issues that I have with it, I think I talked about it in the last meeting, was the fact that we're putting the hoses so close to the walls. Like I have a problem with that because we had a major issue with it when we tried to do that out of Beaver Trail, and we had people pulling out the hoses. We had their boats pulling them away from the side, and they were getting cut. And we had that disaster where we started losing our diffusers. We were losing all of the hose. I think we found hose in people's backyards and everything. So I see a real problem with it because when you bring the hose, it's that close to the shore wall, it's up higher and it's really easy to get caught by anything. And people pull it out thinking there's garbage in the water. So if we're going to be putting it that close, we're going to have to sit down or send out some sort of email or some sort of letter to our residents telling them not to touch it. And we should be worried about the boats catching on it. Because when I look at the picture, and there it is, it's coming up now. When you take a look at it, there is, I think, 4 different times where the keel of a sailboat is going to go through that hose. And we had a problem further down back in front of Skip's place when we put the first system in, and it got dragged all the time. It was constantly getting dragged by their keels because the keels are going through the mud, and it's when it gets low water, they're catching it. So that is my first problem of how we're doing it, because that was the issue I've had the whole time before we actually put the system in there. So that is one of the bigger ones. The other one I've got is I think we're kind of blocking off the final areas that we need to still do. So when you take a look at it, if you can picture that, we don't see the picture, but people know where the community center is and the sailboats are in behind that. If you can picture Canoe Lagoon, which runs under the big bridge that's popular, straight down to my place, if you know where I live, right? Straight down, that area still needs to be done, that straightaway. And I'd always thought that we'd be utilizing the pump from the Turtle Path, because it has 2 pumps in there and they're both only working half of what they can, the air that they can put out. So I always figured that one would be coming into the yacht club, because you could bring the hose in and tuck it around and it would miss the boats backing out on that side. The problem that we've got is trying to get the next line from where you're talking about, picking up on it underneath the small bridge across your keggers. You're going to come up all the way and then you're going to cut over towards 100, and your pipe's going to be right down where all the sailboats are going. And then when you try to break, they're going to drag those pipes all over the place because they're constantly hitting the bottom when the water's shallow. So that's the issue I have with this whole system. And I think I'm trying to figure out how you're going to tie the other two systems up on Turtle and Poplar. There's a pump house and there's a pump house. And when we put those back in 10 years ago, those pumps were, I think we're only using 50% of the capacity on both of them, right? So I'm trying to figure out how you're going to draw them out. Oh, you have a map then? Oh my God! Then I wish you showed this to me right from the beginning. Turn your mic on.
There you go. Hello.
There you go.
So
And
my
talk
name's
into
Nick
it.
DeMarco. I've been working with you guys here for the last over 10 years, going over designs and different types of layouts for aeration systems and doing treatments to reduce organic matter, reduce vegetation, and keep up with the water quality within all the canals. Over the years, we've come to find, a lot cleaner water. We're starting to reduce significant amounts of sediment. We have a lot of reports showing the data reducing the sediment due to the new vegetation that's been brought into the channels. It's very, very thick in density. So every year that you don't reduce the byproduct of silt, the canals will fill up with silt year after year, which causes shallower water, more bacteria, and more room for vegetation to grow and eventually take over these things. So by doing this process with the treatments and aeration, we are actually reducing this cost of dredging, which could be astronomical numbers later on down the road. So what Cal is referring to, so when we first did the one system on Turtle Path, so there are two bubbler sheds. So after further review, they are turned down. So they're running at about, I believe, 60 hertz or 50 hertz. And the max is actually at 60. So they're actually pretty close. They're not turned to half. They're turned down, but they do have capacity for more expansion. So when we look at the green line, it's actually going to be difficult for you to see there, but the green line comes from Turtle Path. So the reasoning of why we're doing it this way, so these lines were drawn up by your guys' team. So when you look at it on another note, so Cal, I think you're correct when you say you can come off those compressors, no problem. I think we can add a lot more airline and diffusers, but stretching it to run the whole system of year one, we'll be adding another 10 diffusers where there's already another 7 on a 6.7 horsepower compressor. So other places where we have up to 19 diffusers running, there's a 12.7 horsepower compressor, which is double the amount of air going up where you're able to do that. So a reasoning of having the right compressor is it keeps the maintenance very low on diffusers, of taking them up, scrubbing them, having them operating the right way. I don't know, as far as Cal and I have been going through, we very rarely ever have to pull up a diffuser and clean it. And then we'll go back to when we had all these airlines that were dragged up on people's shorelines and so on. We had a catastrophic failure after we installed a bunch of aeration with their bubbles coming through it, and the harvesting team went and chopped up a bunch of airlines and dragged them without the canal. So we had extensive repairs to do, which dragged them around. So I don't know the exact location where keels were catching and so on and so forth. But if you go back to the design that we just did, so coming up against the wall, from the sail club right by Keggers there, if we come up, there's only one home here that'll be running up against, and then there's 2 homes along the side. And what I was getting at is if we put the compressor in this existing shed, we can have them all tucked in this very low traffic area where people are backing up and around. They're going to back their keels out like this. So all the lines will actually be tucked up against the wall on this side. And if we come against the wall, so if we do warn, maybe the 3 to 5 people that are down that channel on that side, say, listen, there's some lines there. You don't need to be pulling them up, because some people like to see stuff like that. It's very low impact on that. Then we're into the channel where the condominiums are, which, lower boat traffic. And I think if we bring them off the wall like this way, they could actually, the sailboats could use those as a guideline and come through freely right into every slip. So the keels would actually have very minimal chances of catching the bottom. Now, if we do it from Turtle Path, which has room for expansion, we're going to start dragging lines all the way across this canal where the keels will drag, okay? So there's a very good reason why we did this. And actually, I didn't do the drawing of the colors of the years. So when I looked at it extensively over, like I've done 3 or 4 different visits to go over placement of diffusers and so on. So over the years, we noticed certain things of that. So I think if we do it the way that we're proposing, having that in the shed there, we come up tight across the walls and all the diffusers are tucked away. The sailboats are going to have more than enough room to come in down from the main channel, right down the middle. And if they use the bubblers as a guideline, we could even offset them a little bit as long as there's oxygen in a canal. The treatments are still going to be very effective. So we could even use that as a guide path for them to follow within and come directly into their slips without having a single diffuser or airline in their way. So I think this is a very good way. And what I think I should do, Cal, is I'll draw it out for you and show you the path that they would come in and just kind of explain it a little bit better, even do it by hand after. It's very hard to see on this, but if you look up on the red drawing up there, if we come tight to the wall and have just one diffuser up against the wall, there's no chance of a keel coming close to the wall. And then if we come tight to that wall, you can see there's only 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 homes. And then we're into the condominium. So no one's really going to be, I don't think anyone will be playing with airlines or anything in there. And if we tuck them down, what we did when we did have that issue is we actually put some cinder blocks down on the actual airline to keep them right tight up against the wall and to keep that from being lifted up by a boat or anything like that.
Can you explain to me?
So
I
it is.
have a problem seeing that actually.
So in the red, if they're all the sailboats get parked in that one corner, okay, all around that corner. So if they're coming in, and if we have the diffusers off to the a little bit more off to the one side, they could actually use those as a guideline to come in and go directly into their slips, which would all be in the middle. The only one that could be any type of issue is the one that comes across, cutting across, where we could maybe utilize a diffuser coming off of your
Can I see that? Can I
turtle
see
path.
that?
Yeah, this way.
So I'm just saying. So
This is what we're talking about right here. This whole area right here. This is that tiny area up there.
And this is
Yeah.
where the other pump houses are. So there is room for.
Can I ask, please, that you use the mics and,
Sorry.
yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
So they have a copy of it, so I have a pretty good understanding. So if we do come down and keep them off to the side of that channel, there's very minimal opportunity of keels touching. So if that is an issue, we're gonna have that pretty much sorted out within that area. And all the sailboats are gonna come straight down and go directly into their slips. If we start utilizing off of the bubblers from Turtle Path and start coming down that way, all the lines are going to start coming across into that canal where they're going to be backing up. And with the sailboat, they have they're very hard to maneuver around. So having a straight path, I think, is ideal, the best way to do that. And that's why we've done this design.
Comes all over
This way.
here, and this is wide open, nothing there. So how do you get the lines down? So you're talking just this one area that we're voting on, right?
That's right.
That one tiny
If there's I know the one question was, why couldn't we utilize the available nipples? So the average number to put off of that 6.7 is about 10 diffusers. We already have 7 off of the one at Turtle Path on both sides. So to add 3 more, we could actually do that down that little path. And I would highly recommend getting an extra bubbler at the top end of Turtle Path where it's very, very shallow. And we could do that from that system without going the other way.
So what we should do then is the people that are living on Laguna Parkway, I can see there's 3 or 4 there. We should let them know what we're doing.
For
that
sure.
We're putting.
And we could take extra caution and put some actual, so what I did where we had an issue on the Laguna Parkway job, we actually put all the pipes actually through a block and we set them down so you can't pull them up very easily, or a boat's not going to just drive over and lift them up, because the airline sometimes can get maneuvered down with vegetation and so on. And sometimes when the harvesting guys come through, if they break a line, it drags them into other places where sometimes you don't know where they are, right? So maybe that's when we're getting people pulling them up. But we've actually had some pretty good success with them knowing that they're down the side and coming across with the harvesting team over the years. I think we've.
So when you come around the corner now, when you make that bend, are you putting it like an L in it, or are you trying to bend the
We're going to go around, but what I was recommending is we put them actually, we'll probably make a connection and we'll put a block there, a cinder block, so it actually holds them down on the corner. And then you come tight to the wall, and then we'll come out with the diffuser and put it in the middle.
And what size diffusers are you putting in
They're all
between?
12 inch. All the diffusers in every lagoon is all 12-inch heavy duty clean flow.
You're not gonna put 8 so you can add more in or no?
We're going to use all 12s ideally with the 8s over time of using them over and over and having high compression. We've had issues. The 12 inches are very, very strong, and we've had very good success with the 12-inch.
Really? Okay, because we've got what, 5 or 6 8s, and we have
So
never.
we have some that are teed off that are there,
That's what I'm
and
talking about.
actually Clean Flow International discontinued the 8-inch diffusers because they were having issues as well.
Okay, so you
So
can't
we're
get
all down to 12s, and it's a very commercial utilized diffuser now. Yeah, but we did use them at some of the starting projects. That's good.
Commissioner, Mason.
Through the chair, I'm the liaison for the Lagoon City Yacht Club, and I just attended their AGM just last weekend. Obviously, they're very concerned about weed growth, and they're very concerned that their boats are getting stuck in the weeds, the usual complaints that we would see. And my discussion with them was what we want to do is get these diffusers installed and reduce the amount of muck, get closer to the clay bottom, and they're very supportive of where we're trying to go with this, and they understand the cost of dredging. So they understand though that it's also a bit of a long-term situation where we're not going to see this bottom diminished within the next year or so. What I'd like to suggest is that maybe we take your proposal, and maybe Cal and myself set up a meeting with the yacht club commander and just walk through and maybe get a little bit of feel for how they would see their boats coming in, and maybe make sure that our proposal matches the way that they bring their boats in, and ensure that we have the diffusers put in the right spots.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a great idea. And what I could do, even when we're setting it up, is we could use those as a guide path for them to come in. It'll actually be really good for them. And back to the results, we've actually been obtaining like significant results within a season now by the way that we've been treating. So we're actually spot treating, utilizing our existing sonar scans to see where the high silt levels are and low silt. So at the Concord Lagoon, the very first one that we did, we were actually down to blue clay in some areas where I remember me and Rob Points used to go out and we literally had 2.5 feet of muck, and we've localized treatments from seeing the muck areas. So if we wanted to focus more treatments in one area, especially down the path, down the middle, we could use extra muck digesters and so on that way.
Certainly, I know that the yacht club is it's an important part of our community.
Yep.
And I know how much they want to work with us to make sure that they can get their boats in. They also want to ensure that they can bring other yacht clubs into for weekends at their yacht club. So we need to do what we can to try and help them get their boats in, and as fast as we can do it, and with their cooperation, making sure that they know where the bubblers are, where the diffusers are, where the pipes are, to make sure that they aren't going to drag their hulls through. So absolutely, they're supporting us, but they really want to see some results.
So another thing to know about the keels on boats, so average keel is 4 feet, I believe. So once you start dragging Chera, it builds up multiply. Over the years of having the aeration systems installed, the actual amount of Chera is often reduced to about 50% when you have just the bubblers and the treatment application running. Like we've had a significant reduction of loads of Chera coming out in the areas where we're actually doing the harvesting as well. So we actually noticed that.
Nick, just a second.
Just 1 second. I think because it was a tendered process, we have to be very careful how we go about this. So if we start to restructure what we've tendered, we have to retender this in. So we have to be very careful. I understand what you're saying. You want to make sure it's okay where the lines are talking about. I think clarification is okay as soon as we start changing what we've agreed on. It changes everything.
Yeah. So even just a diffuser placement as a guideline to tell them, say, hey, you know, that you can use those as a guideline for access. I don't know.
That's what my issue is the placement. Because when I look at something like this, I don't have an issue with it, but the map that we have that we're looking at, I do have an issue with it, the way it's laid out.
The way that the circles are placed in the middle of the canal.
On the map.
Yeah, so they could be, yes, I understand.
They can nail it. Yeah, but when you look at this, it's totally different because he's going to keep it. So the question is, are you keeping it close to the shore walls? Because this map that we're looking at, you've given us, it looks like.
I understand that. So what our plan was to come in from the side and cut straight across like this. We just didn't draw the actual line showing where the diffuser line was. But we were gonna come off and leave it off to the side a bit, and then they could use that as a path to come in. And the average keel is about 4 feet. You got about 5.5 feet of water through it the whole way. And as we start using these treatments and aeration system, we will start to see.
And I have no problem with the diffusers going there. It's going to be how the installation is. Because
that's correct.
You got to remember, the boats aren't just going in a straight line. They're all over the place, and they back in, they pull forward, they move around. That's where all those lines are going to get in trouble, because the diffuser that we had a problem with was way up by the bridge, so far away from the keels, but they all did a little tour around, drove around, and they picked them up.
And it could
that's where the problem's going to be.
It could even come up from a repaired airline that had a loop maybe, but most of the time when you're driving over, you got the depth there.
I still think this is operational, guys. I think we can approve this on the basis that this was the approved tender, and then we can move forward, and then you guys can work at the operational piece, I think, later. I think it's important that we just stick to approving this tender.
I think all I'm suggesting is maybe we just take a quick review. If we need to move a bubbler 10 feet or something,
just leave that for the operational side. Let's just stick to approving that tender.
Chris, are you aware of what we're talking about here, the issue that I have with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've talked about it a couple of times.
Absolutely, Callan. We talked about this in the last meeting, actually. I told you that the locations on this map were just for quoting purposes and everything else. They could be adjusted one way or the other in the canal system on Nick's advice as to where they need to be. So we actually did talk about that on the last one, about moving them around a little bit, and it is possible to move them for sure.
Okay. It's going to be, I'm going to tell you, if you have them laid there, that you're going to hit it. And you're going to have one. Giving you a heads up, it's going to happen. Okay. There's no more discussion on that? All in favor? It's passed.
Basically, we're approving 10 aerators, so wherever he puts them, yep.
Well, if he doesn't put them right there, he's going to be back dealing with it. Okay. So, okay, hold on. We're just going to adjourn now. All right, that's enough, guys. Come on. The recommendations, Lagoon City Parks and Waterways. I already voted in favor for the. Okay, we did all. Recommendations, Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission adjourn at what time? 4:49 p.m. All in favor? Oh, sorry, mover. Mayor, second by Commissioner Mason. All in favor? Time before 5. Used to get me to adjourn all the time. I was